Welcome, travelling friends of Australia. We are Willem and Anneke, and we hope you enjoy this episode of our podcast,
where we have a chat to other travellers and give them the opportunity to tell their stories and share the tips that they've learned along the way. Hey guys, so for today's episode, we're quite excited about this one. It's a bit different. We've got Mindy and Spencer, and their Instagram page is called Life in OLLI. They travel around in their van, so let's talk to them. Hey guys, how are you?
We are good. We had a nice sunny day in South Australia, so that's a win for us.
Well, yeah, we just wanted to kind of start with tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Who is Mindy and Spencer?
Yeah.
Thing. So I'm Mindy, this is Spencer, and we have a 4-year-old daughter called Naya. And for the past 5.5 months, we've been traveling nonstop around Australia. We've so far done Queensland, Northern Territory, and we're now taking on South Australia. And we do it in our self-converted Mercedes Sprinter. Awesome.
So you've done it all yourself, from scratch?
With my dad's help.
A lot of help.
Yeah. I'm just about to say, it doesn't look like a Sprinter. It looks like you're in a house.
It's really like a house. We get so many comments about the pictures on the wall and stuff.
It's so good. It's done really well.
Thank you.
So, does it have a name?
Yes, our car is called OLLI, and it's the acronym for One Life Live It, which is kind of how we're choosing to live our life.
Awesome.
So before this, did you guys actually travel as well? Before you had the Sprinter, or?
We did lots of travel. So I'm originally from America, and when I met Mindy, we sort of traveled all over the States. My parents lived across country, so we drive to see them or up to see other family. And then when we had Naya, it sort of settled us down, but we didn't want that. So when we came over to Australia, it was like, okay, let's get back to what we like doing. And that's why we decided to do this.
Yeah. And I've pretty much traveled my whole adult life. I left 2 weeks after high school and I came home 13 years later because I didn't want to raise our daughter overseas. I wanted her, close to family and things like that. So I guess travel, especially road trip, is kind of our jam. We've done it since we met.
Wow, that's lucky. Wow, 13 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It wasn't just travel for 13 years. I did work overseas.
Yeah, okay.
I guess that adds a little bit more excitement to work life when it's somewhere new. And
yeah.
So tell us, what do you actually do then if you're able to travel so much? And
Well, back then, I actually had a kids indoor play area. So I was based in Los Angeles. And Spencer, he's the one with the cool jobs. He is a snowboard instructor, zipline tour guide. He's one of those guys that just does all the fun things.
Yeah, no specific skill set, just one fun job.
As long as it's fun, he's in.
Well, it sounds amazing.
That sounds like me.
That sounds what Willem would really love to be.
Although once we had a kid, I was like, you need to get a real job now. We have to settle down a bit. But yeah, since hitting the road, actually we both aren't working right now, but for the first 4 months on the road, I was able to take my job from home on the road because of COVID. So because everyone went digital, it was okay for me to go digital. So I've just finished up a couple of weeks ago, but I do a lot of social media and marketing and graphics and things like that for a charity. So I was able to do that digitally really easy. And I guess in the new year, I'll probably look for some more freelance work that's in that field. But for now, kind of enjoying being unemployed and just finishing out the year cruising, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's obviously, I don't know if you've watched, so our other page, that's what our other page is about. It's actually about creating online businesses and, getting on the road or doing whatever you love doing, because there are so many opportunities, especially after COVID, I think, that it's just kind of pushed people to think about what's real in life. And if traveling is what you want to do, then do it. There's definitely opportunities that you can utilize to be able to do that. So
if that's one thing COVID did, is open people's eyes to so much opportunity there that's available there, that they can just go out and live their life differently or the way they really wanted to. So
Yeah.
I think that we're all kind of programmed that we, get a job, go to work, come home, Saturday, Sunday. We've never been like that. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much. I started my first company when I was 23.
Wow.
And so for me, that's never been the case. Like it's more like work 7 days a week, but also enjoy 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Spencer had fun jobs that were very weekend heavy.
Yeah, there's no time off in the entertainment field. So
Yeah.
I've worked every Christmas for the last 15 years or something.
But it
like
was
that.
always
So
things that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that COVID kind of taught everyone that you don't have to just go to work. You can choose what you want to do, and you can do it from not necessarily wherever, but however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
We were
If you
already,
find a job
yeah,
that you really love, then it's not really working, is it? You're not
Yeah.
really working. So even though it's your income and that's how you make your income, but it's great.
Yeah.
and also just the flexibility for us. So we're like, I like working and I love obviously what I do, but I can't stand having to go to work from this hour to this hour. I like to be able to do it a couple of hours in the morning, then at nighttime when my kids are asleep, or, smash it all out in 2 days and have the rest of the week off. So I think that that's the flexibility that I was looking for. I wasn't looking to stop work. I just wanted to, be able to work
On your own terms. Yeah.
Yeah.
On your own terms. That's awesome.
That's what we're working towards now, because like I always wanted to be a dad. So, since we had our kids, I miss them if I go to work. If I'm there for 8 hours, I see them for 3 hours and then they're asleep. And then so that's why we started our journey.
Yeah. And those early years of childhood, they just go so fast.
Yeah. And it's the best time, I reckon.
It is, because then you got all the other things to deal with when they're teenagers, and then all they want to do really is go to sports or their friend's house, or
and get away from you.
pretty much take over. So we think we're only having one, so that was a big push for us to get out in this life as well. Is that Spencer was working crazy hours when we moved to Australia, and he just wasn't seeing Naya pretty much at all. And then we thought, well, we're going to blink and our only kid is going to be grown up, and it's just not worth putting money in the bank for that. And, owning a house wasn't a priority for us. It was this. And now we have a little tiny home.
So let's talk about that little tiny home. Tell us a bit about OLLI.
So it's a long wheelbase Mercedes Sprinter 2014. I think it's like 8 square meters inside once you take out the driving.
Maybe something.
And it's actually shocking what you can fit inside 8 square meters.
So we have 4 uppers, a full standing closet, toilet, outdoor showers, 2 fridges, sink. I mean,
Naya has her own bed. We have our bed, which Naya's bed turns into a couch, which is what we're sitting on.
Yeah, that's this area.
And you really, the thing that drew us, or probably me, I think I was a driving force behind this particular lifestyle, is that you can make it a home. And I didn't want to just go and purchase a caravan. Whilst that's for local people, it wasn't for me. I didn't want to feel like I was, necessarily on a holiday or something. I wanted to build our house. We had never owned a home. We'd always rented in America and then rented in Australia, and it was constant moving. This is ours. We decorated it how we want. We have family pictures up, and it just, it's crazy how different it feels when it's a little home, not just.
It was just so much cheaper as well making it ourselves. We looked at buying one pre-done, and they look sort of like manufactured, but it ended up being almost $20,000 more expensive than what we spent buying one and making it ourselves. So
budget was a big thing for us. We're a little bit different to a lot of the families we've met on the road where they had a house to sell or even just a house to rent out. We had just moved so we left everything in America, closed down a business just to move here to Australia. It costs like more than $10,000 to get a visa for your partner when they're not Australian. So it was a huge hit. And then obviously we got jobs to start saving. And then originally I wanted to do a vintage caravan, but then I realized I need to buy a 4-wheel drive to tow that caravan, and it was adding up. This was the right choice for us. And our setup has loads of pros, but it has loads of cons as well, like everyone's. And for us, having a young child, being able to have everything you own with you is just perfect right now. Like it would be nice to have a detached, 4-wheel drive to take off the day trips, but we've done that once when we had a rent-a-car and we forgot everything that she wanted, and it was just a nightmare. So for us, it kind of works that anything she asks for, we have. You know, she's hungry, we got a whole kitchen.
Yeah.
So for us, it works pretty good to have this set up right now. But you know, I can see the perks in having a 4-wheel drive later down our travels.
True.
What's your favorite little bit of your van there?
Where you go, I know what yours is. It slides out the back.
Yeah, I like having 2 fridges.
He has his own fridge.
Yes.
I'm impressed with the 2 fridges. Like, how did you fit it in?
We had one. Yeah. We had one, and it's an 85 liter, so it's decent enough size. But when we overfill it, it doesn't stay cold enough. So we're like, okay, we'll get one that does fridge and freezer, and we can use it as a freezer. Well, that never happens, and we never really fill it with one. So it's just like a carton or 2 in the back.
I got talked into a really good deal on a Dometic second fridge, aka his bar fridge. So Spencer has his man cave at the back of our
You need a space.
Yeah. So underneath our bed, which is our garage, we have like a slide out that's an instant hot water system, so we can take outside showers. Which was great. We're set up on a beach right now in South Australia, so we just hung out on the beach, opened up our back doors, took a full hot water shower, and then next to that slides out a massive fridge, and then next to that houses all of our toys, like our skateboards, fishing, beach toys, and all that. So that's kind of his favorite feature.
Trying to think where all this fits in.
Yeah, it doesn't add up, does it?
No.
It's pretty amazing what you can fit inside of a van. And then once you start living on the road, like we were already super minimalist because we packed our entire life up into 2 suitcases to move here. And then we did accumulate stuff in the year and a half before we built our van, but we were still minimalist. And then every month, probably on the road, we clear out our van and we're like, haven't used that, don't need that. So a lot of our cupboards are pretty much like half empty, or you know, that we have containers at the front, but behind that is just a void space that we could fill if we were like, let's say, going off grid for a long time.
But just weight's such a big thing, and just trying to sort of minimize how much excess you have when it's like, oh, we might use that. It's like, well, have we? So
yeah, probably just get rid of it.
We
visit a lot of charities where we can just donate stuff because we're like, well, we really don't need it, and if we do, we'll just buy it again, you know, down the line instead of carting it around. But my favorite feature is probably our hanging space, which is a weird thing. I think we have a full standing cupboard, and a lot of people that I've met on the road choose to take out their hanging and add in shelves because you can get a lot more stuff in, which makes sense. I think if you have a lot of stuff, we don't have a lot of stuff compared to the cupboards. And I couldn't, for me, living on the road full time, I couldn't be someone that basically like had to, you know, pull out like a packing cube or something and go through all my clothes. I just need it to look like, there it is, hang it up. Laundry days are easy. You don't have to fold anything. You just stick it on a coat hanger and it's not crinkled.
Yeah.
I think little things like that for me make it feel more like we're at home, or life is simple instead of living out of a suitcase, or, you know, having to
yeah, definitely.
So I think weird things like that make it.
Have you got a washing machine now that you're talking about washing?
That's the last thing, because we keep adding things as we're going. Like we just got an oven put in, and a washing machine is the last thing. But my parents are coming to travel with us for 6 months when we do WA, and they have a full washing machine. So I'm like, we'll probably wait till we're 50.
Hold on.
But that's the only other thing that we're like, oh, it would be nice. And it is a bit of a space waster, but it costs a lot of money to do laundry on the road. We didn't realize.
Especially when you have like dunas and stuff like that. If you're not in a caravan park, it costs you $8 for a wash.
But even in a caravan park, it's like costs us $30. And essentially, if you were doing laundry every week, that's $30 a week. And that's bucks we don't really want to be spending. And so then you end up going, oh, I'll just change my duna cover, so that one, and then do them both in one load later. But so it would be handy, and I can see the value in buying a washing machine, definitely, especially with a kid that goes through 6 outfits a day.
How does your daughter find it all?
Oh, she loves it. Hey, like she absolutely thrives. Just because before we started, like she went to kindy and all that, but it got to the point where she wasn't really being as social as I wish she was. But now that we're on the road, it's like everywhere we go, oh, can I make a friend here? Is that girl going to be my friend? Like all these things. And it's like more often than not, we make friends because she's finding people that she wants to be friends with. So,
yeah, we hear that a lot.
She's a little bit awkward, as in She just thinks everyone's fair game. So she'll just walk up. I don't care if you're an adult with no kids.
Oh, yeah.
She just walks up. Hi, my name's Naya. I'm 4. You want to be my best friend? And then like just be like, oh, everyone doesn't want to be your friend. But, I mean, like most people do, but I think everything she absolutely thrives on, loves being on the road. Today, because the weather's been a little bit dodgy here in South Australia, we've been spending a lot of time in the van and moving quite a lot. But today is an amazing day. So we've just parked up at this awesome beach and been here all day. And she looked at me and went, Mum, we haven't even driven anywhere today. Like, she really likes that fast-paced life, which, I mean, that could be really hit and miss with a kid. That could really overwhelm a kid. But I don't know if she's just gotten used to it or she really is like me and just really likes to see lots of things. But, I think the only hard thing is that being an only child, every so often we have to kind of check ourselves and be like, all right, we haven't seen any other kids in a couple of days. We have to change our plans to go to a park and let her, do her thing. And that only really happens. It did happen a lot in the Northern Territory and Western Queensland when you're sort of in those remote locations. Yeah, and because of COVID, there's less people on the road and, but we do hang out. I joke a lot that we're on like an Australian tour of playgrounds. We can tell you all the best ones. But
Good, you should make a list.
We'll have the best blog at the end of this year. But playgrounds are really good because it allows us to sit back and let her go. So we don't have to, we can watch her from afar, and it's important to have that time away because kids are used to going to kindy or, off with grandparents, whereas she's with us 24/7. So I'm sure she gets sick of us the same way that we need some alone time from her. So we usually find a park that's fenced in and we'll park the van right out front and just let her go in and we can just see her, but let her have her time. So we find that sort of helps her, I guess, enjoy it a bit more.
Yeah. So you guys are actually going to head to WA soon now that they've opened up the borders?
We're not jumping on it. Yeah. We're going to wait a bit.
But it totally shocked us because obviously we've been following what's happening like everyone else. And then when he said April and then changed it to April to June, we started, because we don't make plans, we literally make up our mind as we're driving. Like, we make several wrong turns to get on the right way.
It's a good thing and it's a bad thing because the amount of times we end up somewhere where we didn't expect to be and ends up being amazing is good. But with stuff like WA, it's like we tried and then got denied and then it came down. We're like, oh, maybe at this time we'll get there. And then we thought we were going to have to go home. So
but we thought
it gets tricky.
Yeah, we thought that when they opened, we would just jump across because we've been waiting to get there. And, what if it closes again? But we had time to think about it and we're going to stick to our plans. And we're going to go over to the middle to the end of January. We'll cross the border and do about 6 months there.
Yeah.
If all goes to plan, if something doesn't
There's
happen,
a lot to see in WA.
Yeah. We want to do at least 6 months, but we have to consider the seasons and like the biggest thing on my list is swimming with the whale shark. So have to be in Exmouth in May. Like, there's a lot of things that had to line up and it seems like it's going to, but we just don't want to get too excited or make too many plans until the day before.
No, that's awesome. We'll probably see you then when you're here.
So tell us a bit about so you haven't been to WA. So what are the favorite destinations you've visited so far and which ones do you still want to go and see? Is there specific ones or not really?
Well, we had done Queensland. We did like a little trial run in our van for 2 weeks. And we did the east coast of Queensland, just up to Airlie.
Yeah, Airlie and back.
Yeah. And that was really good, but I've done that as a kid. Spencer hadn't, so it was kind of fun. But then because of COVID, we had to change our plans a little bit and redo the coast, which obviously is fine. It's beautiful. But I would say the Northern Territory and the Red Dirt was like really high on my list. Apart from I wanted to get to WA, there's a million things there that I've been like flagged on my bucket list for a long time. But the Red Dirt was like, it was special. It was so foreign to anything that I'd ever seen. And I've traveled millions of beaches, but never that like barren desert. And so Uluru, I guess, I don't know about you. That's my favorite place so
it's
far.
Just, you see the pictures and you know that it's going to be this amazing thing. But when you get there, it's so much more magical than you can ever imagine.
It's not like a visual. It's a vibe. It's like you feel so different when you're there. And we actually were really lucky, and we went straight down to the Red Centre when we crossed the border, and then thinking WA was going to open, we headed up north to cross in. That didn't happen, so we had to actually backtrack, which is a really long drive on a really boring highway.
Tell you every part of it.
Yeah, we know the Stuart Highway like the back of our hand. But when we were in Alice Springs, we met a couple that had some little rescue joeys, and they were kind enough to let Naya feed the joeys and stuff like that. Then they told us that they lived at Uluru in community. So invited
2K from the rock.
Yes.
You could wake up and see it every day.
Yeah. So they invited us to come and stay at their house. Now that like kind of checked off two things for us. One, we really wanted to connect with people on the road and have that experience where you stay at people's, you know, properties and things like that. So it was really cool to meet people that we genuinely connected with.
Yeah.
And then they lived in like the coolest, most untouchable place for us. It's somewhere that no one can go and visit. So to be able to see things from that perspective, and then to get an insight into what it's like to live in community. And we were really fortunate to get invited by some of the Indigenous community to go out and hunt for WITCHETTY grubs. And that was like probably the best thing we've done on this whole trip, because it's something you can't buy. It's not an experience.
Very tough work though. Like,
it is hard. It's hard work searching for WITCHETTY grubs.
Out trees and breaking branches and things. It was tough and hot. But,
but that was really special, I think, to be able to experience, and then to have Naya exposed to things like that as normal. That wasn't like, hey, we're going to do this. Like, it was like, oh, you want to go here? Cool, jump in your car. And then she just got to see things that some kids will never see. So that was probably the best. And then the biggest shock place for us so far, I think, has been Darwin. We didn't realize Darwin would be as cool as it is. It's a really cool city. Where's somewhere you want to go the most?
Honestly, like, I haven't done too much research in regards to like where there is in like Australia and stuff like that.
Well, what's been your favorite thing that you just did the other day? What did you do in Rapid Bay?
Oh, I went squid fishing, which was amazing. So I've done lots of fishing my entire life, but it's all been like freshwater. So getting into doing saltwater has been a big thing, but catching squid is just next level, because Rapid Bay, you can see all the way down, was it 8 meters to the floor? You can see the squid swimming around. So you see them and you throw it in. It's like hunting almost, because like like real like engaging, because you can see it all happening. And then when you pull them up, it's not much of a fight, but like it's funny because you pull them up and set them on the deck. They're just shooting ink everywhere, and it sounds like they're farting. So it's like kind of funny.
Really cool. We did that for like the entire day.
Oh, it was good for like 5-6 hours. We didn't get very many, but like when you do, it's like just the thrill of like getting them and stuff. And then I love calamari, so like having fresh calamari was really good.
Oh, nice, So obviously, what I've heard is you guys are more beach people than bush people.
We loved the NT, but we were ready to leave the NT.
Like,
it's something really cool to see. But we had missed the beach so much. Like, all we wanted to do was just go and dive in the ocean. So, and SA is beautiful, but like I said, it has been freezing. Today was the first day we got a beach day. And we've got good weather, I think, for the next 3 or 4 days, and then it's probably back to coldish. So I think WA is gonna blow our mind.
You're gonna love WA with all the beaches.
And because it's just that warmer temperature.
We got sort of both. You can go bush. We got some great bush and some beautiful beaches. So.
I'm pretty excited. Even more excited now that it's open and an option.
There's another big question I just thought about. It's not part of our question list, but competition-wise, America, Australia.
I'd say Australia.
He says Australia.
It's different. I grew up in California, obviously, and everyone always thinks California, surfing and things like that. I don't like any of the in California. There's some that are nice to see, but I'm not interested in swimming in any of them because they're frigid cold and the water's not pretty. Like, I've been to Hawaii.
It's not beautiful like Australia.
Yeah, like there's some nice spots, but compared to like the Gold Coast or even down here in SA, it's like the water is just crystal clear. You have the nicest sand. Like,
it's more like Florida.
Yeah, it's you can't compare it. Like, the forests are really good in America, and that's something that I do want to go back and see and do. But as regards, like, that's why I'm so in love with the beaches here, because it's just so different. But like, I grew up in the desert and going to the forest and things like that. So it's like doesn't excite me as much. I'd rather see
But
like
America's
people
nice, but it's going through a rough time, and we're
Yeah.
really glad that
Yeah.
we're raising our child here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
our child, if you asked her, she's Team America all day. She's got an
100%.
American accent that she
Wow.
learned she's lived here pretty much her entire life, but
Wow.
that American blood is strong. She tells you she's American.
Oh.
She speaks American.
Whenever people ask us where we're from, she's like, "Oh, America." It's like you can't
I'm
say
like,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
She's a
right.
really proud American. I don't know where that came from, but
Oh, but that's beautiful.
yeah, it is kind of nice. And
Yeah.
she is American. She was born there, so I guess we'll give her that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll definitely, once you finish in Australia, you will take Naya and go show her America then as well.
We're supposed to do 1 year trips back and forward. So his family visited last year. It was our turn this year, but COVID.
COVID. Yeah.
We will always visit because half of her family is American.
Yep.
But we would, our long-term dream, if money ever falls out of the sky, is to finish Australia, take on New Zealand, and then van life in America and also through Europe. We'd love to just do it all, figure out financial freedom at some point.
Yeah.
And just let her grow up.
Educationally, I want her to go to school here though.
Yeah.
It's just a better system, as well as like the medical system. Just all the systems seem to be more based around the community in this country, as opposed to in America, where it's sort of like figure it out yourself, is the way I feel anyways. So I'd rather her do that. But as far as travel, everything's sort of open game.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any advice for people who, might be like us still, like at home, and they're thinking about wanting to travel and all that kind of thing? What should they do?
I was you guys not that long ago. We've been in our van for over a year, but we've only been on the road for 5.5 months.
Yeah.
And I used to follow all these travel accounts, and it used to like really bother me when everyone would say like, "Oh, you just have to do it. The money will come." And I'd be like, "Yeah, cool. Like I'll just pay my bills." But it's like now that I've done that, I get it, and I try not to say it because it used to bother me a lot. And until you've experienced something like that, you don't get it. But as soon as you make up your mind to do something, like we would go to work the same amount of hours, make the same amount of money. We were always really conscious of what we were spending it on because one day we wanted to do this, but we couldn't save any money. And then as soon as I went out, and I was like, I came home from a trip to America. I took my daughter for like 5 days. And when I was there, it was my first time visiting America since moving home. And everyone that I was catching up with, they're like, "Oh, how are you doing in Australia?" I was like, "Yeah, it's great. We're going to travel Australia." But like, we had no plans to do that, like no money. But I told everyone that because like, I don't know, that's what I wanted to do. And I came home and I was like, "Dude, we're buying a van." And we didn't have the money. So we worked hard for like a couple of weeks and didn't spend any money, and then asked my parents for a loan for the rest. And we went to the lot, bought the van. And from that day on, it was like money just appeared in our savings account because we were working the same, but everything shifted.
Changes.
And we had a new focus. We spent every working minute here at the van. So not that we ever went out. Like I think back and I'm like, something changed because we were saving money and we paid off our van and saved enough in like 6 months to now live on the road. So I don't really know what happened, but I'm just telling you, when you decide to do it.
I think it's the positivity. I think it's like the positive mindset. It just shifts everything. Like you see more.
But that's now your
potential in
focus.
everything.
Yeah, your focus is now on that project. And that's why all the money now goes into that, where it went to other stuff and you gave a little bit everywhere, but you didn't really realize it.
Like literally you think, like I honestly think I'm a minimalist and I don't waste money. Like I'm really like not strict with it, but I'm telling you, it's a Kmart. Every time you go to Kmart, it's so cheap. So you're like, "Oh, just get a few bits," but that adds up. And
it still happens on the road.
Yeah.
If we find a Kmart, please get $150 later on.
We went to Darwin within like a certain budget, and we just are really aware of like what we need, what we don't. And we ended up spending more time in Darwin than planned because we needed a new clutch in our car. And that was our first time like in a city. And so therefore you had like Kmart's, Targets, like all of the things. We doubled our budget in a month and we didn't even realize. We got to the end of the month and we were like,
It was more like
Oh
trip.
my, yeah.
It doesn't help that there's not many free camps in Darwin,
Yeah.
so a lot of like lodging and like places to stay.
But we spent a lot of money that we would just never, and it's just that we straight away fell into that. Oh, just duck down to Kmart. Oh, Naya needs a new dress. Well, guess what? She really didn't, and we would be just fine without it. But you could justify. Yeah. So I don't know. I know it sounds weird, and I used to really kind of get annoyed when I would just read, just do it. But we bought a van, and there was no turning back from there. We had no idea how we would even pay for the van, let alone live in it and travel.
The easiest way to say it is pick a date.
Yeah, you have to just plan.
We picked a date, and then COVID hit, and we're like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna happen. Well, the date came around. It was the end of May. We're like, let's just do it. We have 150K limit on travel. We went for 100K. The next day we did 75, so we were past our limit basically. Yeah. But then Palaszczuk opened up Queensland. It just sort of works for you. When you have
just
it,
feel like, everything just like with WA, so far we haven't hit any roadblocks. Yes, our clutch is blown and like expenses come up, and that's our we've
mechanical things you can't control.
Yeah, but we've also had like random expenses and things go wrong. But at the same time, we just float around, and the borders have all opened at the right time for us. And I feel like if you just open-minded and not got a real structure to your life and things like that, and I don't know, money doesn't fall out of trees, but we worked really hard for this.
You can find it on the floor sometimes.
Yeah.
I just think that it makes sense to me now when I would hear other travelers say those things of like, you just got to do it, just put it out there and it'll come to life. And I was like, oh,
whatever.
Right. I've been scrolling Instagram looking at these for years, and they've never just come to life for me. But once I made that commitment to buying it, honestly, everything changed.
Yeah.
So that's my only advice is, honestly, when you're ready, just do it. And there's never a right time.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think the beauty of it is that when you just do it, the life you've already lived, and it's there for you. If it doesn't work out, then what's there for you. You can always go back to it.
Yeah, 100%. And like we left, like I said, we didn't have a house or anything to sell, so we didn't have a large sum of money. So our priority was obviously buying the van, and we paid for everything, so we had no debt. And then after that, our priority was like, right, we're going to leave on this date. Let's just save every dollar we can, and then we'll just go as far as we can. We didn't know how much it was going to cost to live on the road. We didn't know at that point if we could stealth camp everywhere. We didn't know if we were going to be in caravan parks. We didn't know anything. So we just went and thought, when we run out of money, we'll stop. And then obviously I kept my job, so that really helped. And then now we're like, we have a pretty good idea of how much we spend every month, so now we can sort of look at our account and go, right, we've got 6 months, we've got 8 months, we've got this amount of money put aside for mechanical issues that we sort of know might pop up. And once you're on the road, you kind of get a little bit of a feel for sorry, she's watching a movie, but she's like shoveling pasta in her face with her headphones falling over her eyes. Anyway. She doesn't go to bed till really late because they have daylight savings here, and it's still broad daylight outside. It's
about 8 o'clock, and
it's daylight.
It's funny. Back on the Gold Coast, she would have been asleep by 6. So it's like, it's so different to how things go.
We're just adjusting.
Yeah, it's hard to tell them go to sleep when it's there's still light outside.
Yeah.
And I probably would do that if she didn't sleep in, but she's adjusted now to be sleeping in. So we used to, because we stealth camp, so meaning we basically just sleep in commercial or residential sort of neighborhoods, and we don't really pay a lot for accommodation. But when you're stealth camping, usually we roll in after it's dark and we leave. Like, I'm an early riser, so usually I'm kicking these two out of bed at like sunrise and being like, right, let's just move to a beach or somewhere nice. Now we're like so comfortable in stealth camping. Everyone sleeps in. We're like, it's 9 o'clock. We should probably move on. Like, before we were too scared that someone would see us, or like now we just,
You're out of that holiday mode now. You're just living now. And enjoying sleeping in, whatever. It's good. You're living.
Yeah.
If you want to tell the listeners where they could find you and on what platforms and what your handles are.
Sure. So we're on Instagram. It's at life.in.olli, OLLI. We're also on YouTube and Facebook, but Instagram's our main platform. And yeah, we just love sharing our journeys online in the hopes of inspiring other people and showing them how doable it is, especially with kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome, guys. Enjoy your night.
Thanks very much for the chat.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.